Danna, and welcome to your very first piano lesson. I teach private music lessons, including those on Skype, so if you're interested in private music lessons, shoot me an email at dannarichards@gmail.com. But I also wanted to provide study materials for my students, and I wanted to give you guys a bunch of free lessons. So today we're gonna learn the very basics of playing the piano. Today I'm gonna teach you the finger numbers, all the notes on the piano, and I'll teach you a couple songs at the very end. Again, this is lesson number 1, extremely basic, so a lot of you probably already know this, but the more videos I do, the more advanced we're gonna get. We'll get to the fun stuff, I promise. I'm also gonna be doing tutorials for guitar, ukulele, lyric writing, and songwriting, so stay tuned if you're interested in any of those things. So in order to play all this beautiful piano music, you need to know which fingers to put on which notes. So we're gonna start with our finger names. It's very basic. Our thumbs are our 1s, pointers are our 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. Again, we have our 1s, our 2s, our 3s, 4s, and 5s. So for kids, sometimes I have them put their hands together and they'll wiggle their 1s together, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. Pretty simple, right? Now let's take a look at the keyboard. Pianos and full-size keyboards have 88 keys. And yes, we are learning every single one of them today. So 88 keys on the keyboard, but you only have to learn 7 of them and you'll be able to figure out the rest. There's a couple ways to find your keys. The very bottom key is an A, and the very highest note on the keyboard is a C. There are 7 notes or 7 letters in the musical alphabet, and they are A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then it's gonna start over, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A better way though is to memorize your keys. Eventually you'll have it memorized and you won't even have to think about it, but here's a great way to visualize the keyboard. So we have our white keys or our natural keys, and then we have our sharps and our flats, which are the black keys. So if you look at the sharps and flats, we have groups of 3 and then 2, and that just repeats, 3, 2, 3, 2, and that continues all the way up and down the keyboard. So if you look at the group of 2, the note in between is the same note. Those are Ds, just a different octave. This is a lower D, and this is a higher D. You can do the same down here. If you look at the group of 3, this is the same note, and this is your A. This is a great one to memorize because it's the beginning of your alphabet. And this is called an octave. A. A to A is an octave. A to A is an octave. The most important note to learn on the keyboard is middle C. You've probably seen sheet music with these 2 symbols on it. We have your treble clef and we have your bass clef. Now this middle C is what separates your treble clef from your bass clef. Everything above middle C is your treble clef, and everything below is in your bass clef. So when you're reading your sheet music, know that this symbol means treble and this symbol means bass. So middle C, right here on your keyboard. It's right below the 2 together. So how are we going to memorize these? So what I like to do with some of my students is I call this the doghouse. So there's a D inside the doghouse. And right outside the doghouse is the cat. So here we have the 2 together. Here's your doghouse. D is in the doghouse. The cat is right outside, and the bird. So D is a really good one to learn to find the rest. So you can go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So you can find them all from D as well. So here we have our zoo. There are 2 animals in our zoo. The one on the bottom is the giraffe, okay? The one on the top is an ape. So we have a giraffe and an ape inside our zoo. So let's review. We have our doghouse with what inside? Our dog, of course, D for dog, so there's our D. Then we have our cat right outside and our bird. And then we're in our zoo and we have our giraffe and our ape, okay? We've already learned 5 out of our 7 chords. Now we have these 2 in the middle. I like to call this the aquarium. In between our doghouse and our zoo, we have the aquarium. We have an eel and we have a fish. It's kind of silly, but it helps to visualize your notes. One more time, we're gonna review. We have our D, our dog in the doghouse, our cat right outside, along with the bird. And then we're gonna jump over to the zoo. What do we have in our zoo? We have a giraffe, and we have our ape. And then we have our little aquarium here with the fish on top and the eel on the bottom. You don't really have to memorize all of these. You can remember 1 or 2 of them, and you'll be able to find your notes from there. So if all you remember is that your ape is in the zoo, or your dog is in the doghouse, you can find all of your other notes from there. You've just learned all of your white keys. Now, what are all these black keys called? These are the sharps and flats, and they're kind of special because they each get 2 names. So remember how I told you this is the D? Well, the note right above D is called D sharp. The note right below D is called D flat. So up or to the right is a sharp, down or to the left is a flat. So let's take a look at A. So if we're gonna find A sharp, we're gonna go up or to the right. Here's your A sharp. If we go down or to the left, we're gonna call that A flat. Now let's try it with our G. If we go up, we're playing G sharp. If we go down or to the left, we're playing G flat. Pretty easy, right? Now, here's where it gets a little bit complicated. Let's take a look at our F. If we go up or to the right, we're at F sharp, right? But we don't have a black key right here, so there's no F flat. This note is just an E. Same thing with our B. So we do have a B flat, but we don't have a black key here, so there's no B sharp. So now we know all of our note names. Now let's take a look at how to actually play your keys properly. Now when we put your hand up to the piano, you don't want your wrist to sink. We don't want it to be too high. None of this resting your fingers down on the keyboard. Again, not too low, not too high. We just want them to be nice and neutral and relaxed. And we're gonna let the fingers do all the work. Now let's talk about your finger position. Put one hand into a ball and then gently rest your fingers around your other hand. Relax this hand, but keep its shape and remove your other hand. This should be the shape of your hand while you're playing the keyboard. A little bit of curve of the fingers. We don't want any straight fingers, and we don't want little hooks. We want a nice soft curve in the hands. You'll notice when I play my thumbs, I'm pressing on the side of my thumbs. Otherwise, we're pressing on the tips of our fingers. Now I'm gonna show you how to do a scale. Thanks to Sound of Music, we have all heard a scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So a scale is just a series of notes. There's actually a scale for each one of these keys. What I just played is a C major scale. We're starting on C and we're ending on C. And there's a certain pattern of notes that we play throughout. C is a great scale to start off with because there are no sharps and flats in that key. It's the only key that doesn't have sharps and flats. Let's take a look at the G scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But just the way the keyboard's set up, there's a sharp in a G scale. So it's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. We could also do an F sharp scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So let's go back to the C scale since it's easy to play. We're gonna start with your thumb on C and we're gonna play 1, 2, and 3. Remember, these are our 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna do what's called a tuck. You're gonna tuck your thumb under to play the F. So we've got C, D, E, tuck under to play your F, and then you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. F, G, A, B, C. Okay, so you just played your full scale. This time I'll do it and I'll count off the fingers. So it's 1, 2, 3, tuck under. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that is your C major scale. These black keys are feeling a little left out, so I'm gonna show you what's called a chromatic scale. Chromatic scale is a half step at a time. So on the keyboard, we have a series of half steps and whole steps. Let me show you what half steps look like. A half step away from C is C sharp or B. It's the very next note. So we're gonna start on C and we're gonna play every note between C and C. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. So here it is a little faster. It can be a little tricky to play a chromatic scale if you're looking down here. If you look up here, it's hard to miss a note. You can see that they're all in order, just like this. So these are half steps, every single note on the way up. So now that you know what your half steps are, I can show you what a whole step is. A whole step is every other note. So if you're on C, you're gonna skip the C sharp and play D, okay? You're gonna skip the D sharp and play E. So these are whole steps. C, D, E, whole step, whole step. Here's where it gets a little tricky because notice this is your half step to F. So remember, whole steps are every other. So we're gonna skip the F. So E to F sharp is your whole step. We're gonna skip the G, G sharp, skip, A sharp, skip the B, and C. We're gonna go back to that C scale. So here we go. We have a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. I have a tutorial showing you guys how to find any scale on the piano, so I'll link that down in the description if you are interested in that. But today, I just want to see if you guys can play your C scale. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. it's opposite on the left hand, because remember our thumbs are ones, but if you're going to start on C on the left hand, you're actually starting with your pinky. So on your left hand, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just like we did our tuck earlier, we're going to cross over with the left hand. Now when you cross over or tuck under, here's what I want you to avoid. I don't want to see any tilting in the wrist when you cross over, because you're going from your 1 to your 3, and a lot of people have the tendency to flick their wrist up. Here's what I want you to do. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep your hand level, and the only thing that's moving is your thumb. These 4 fingers stay where they are, then you're just going to press your 3 and keep going. Do you notice how I brought my thumb around? When I cross, my thumb pops up and it's ready to play the C. So again, we don't want to tilt our hand or move our elbow or anything. Just want to keep your hand nice and flat. Just move at the thumb joint and you're back. Same with the right hand. When you do your tuck under, you don't want to flip your wrist up. You want your hand to be nice and flat, and once your thumb plays, look what happens with the rest of my fingers. They get into position. So all you have to do is push. And that is your C scale. I'm going to show you how to play 2 really easy songs on the keyboard. There's just 5 notes in the song, so you don't have to move your hand. All you have to do is press the correct finger at the correct time. So I'm going to teach you how to play Jingle Bells. It's the tendency of a lot of people to play like this. And that's because our pointer fingers are the strongest. Our middle fingers are pretty strong too. But if you notice that your ring finger and your pinky aren't really cooperating with you, be patient. You might also notice that they have some attachment issues and want to play at the same time. But be patient, because sometimes it takes a while for your ring and your pinky to gain that mind-muscle connection and gain enough strength to operate independently of each other. So let's try Jingle Bells. Since you don't know how to read music yet and you know your finger names, I'm just going to write the numbers up at the top of the screen and you can follow along. So whichever number you see, that's the finger you're going to push. If you see a 3, you're going to push your middle finger. If you see a 1, you're going to push your thumb. If you see a 5, you'll press your pinky. So for Jingle Bells, we have 3, 3, 3, rest. 3, 3, 3, rest. 3, 5, 1, 2, 3. Okay? I'm just going to have you do that much of Jingle Bells today. 3, 3, 3, rest. 3, 3, 3, rest. 3, 5, 1, 2, 3. Pretty simple, right? Now on the left hand, it's opposite, and I'm going to have you play it on the left hand because oftentimes left hand gets neglected. A lot of people get really good at the right hand and they leave the left hand behind. So we're going to learn this with a lefty as well. So notice that the middle fingers are the only ones that are numbered the same. They're both 3s, but everything else is going to be different. So with the left hand, it's 3, 3, 3, rest. 3, 3, 3, rest. 3, 1, 5, 4, 3. So try it at your own pace, even if you have to go really slow. If you'll notice, the harder you press on the keys, the louder the sound is going to be. So you don't want it to be too quiet, and you don't want it to be too loud. Okay? You want it to be right in the middle. So when you're practicing, make sure you're pressing at the same pace for each finger. Sometimes pinky plays quieter and thumb plays louder because pinky's not quite as strong yet. So make sure you're playing at the same level. We don't want any quiet, loud, quiet. We want everything to be nice and steady. So if you have to play really slow in the beginning, that is perfectly fine. We just want to practice playing your hands together and playing them at the same volume. In the beginning, it's probably easier to practice one hand at a time. So practice your right hand, practice your left hand, and then try and put them together. You'll notice these are pretty easy to play together. But once we get here, it's much more difficult. It's your tendency to play your pinkies together and your thumbs together, but just remember, you're gonna play your thumb on your left and your pinky on the right. You're gonna play your thumb with your right and your pinky on your left. Here's one more song to get you started. It's called Ode to Joy. If you don't know it by the title, you've probably heard it, and here's how it goes with both hands. So I'll slow it down for you a little bit. The right hand is going to start with the middle finger or the 3. 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 2, 1, 1. One thing to watch out for when you're playing your pinky and your ring finger is not to push your wrist to the side. A lot of people have that tendency because their pinky isn't quite strong enough. I really want to make sure you're holding your hand level and straight and just pushing with your pinky. You don't want to lean your wrist into it at all. That will strain it, it'll hurt, and you won't gain any strength in your pinky. So here's the left hand, same song. 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3, 4, 4. One thing to watch out for too, you kind of want to rest your hand on the keyboard. You don't want to bring them up really high, and you don't want to rest them too close to the keys because it's hard to have enough leverage to push them down. You just want to barely touch the keys when you're starting out, and then all you have to do is push. You don't need to bring them up and hammer them down. You just want to push, nice and steady. If it's too difficult in the beginning for you to play hands together, what you can do is just start on C and go up to G and come back down. So you'll just go C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys. You're one step closer to being able to play your favorite songs. Let me know down in the comments what kind of tutorials you would like to see. I'll be teaching all sorts of tutorials, piano, guitar, ukulele. I'm also going to be doing lyric writing, songwriting, and showing you guys how to set up your at-home recording studio. Subscribe and click the bell so you can see all my future tutorials.